Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know first, Apple's A19 Pro chip integrates AI into its GPU, signaling a strategic break from partners Qualcomm and Broadcom to dominate on-device AI. So we'll discuss why this in-house silicon strategy matters and what it means for the semiconductor industry and future AI native apps. Second, 50% of Navan's user interactions are now handled by AI as the travel tech startup files for a NASDAQ IPO to challenge SAP Concur. We'll analyze why this level of automation is a turning point and how it could affect competitive dynamics in the enterprise software market. Third, Airbus pauses its City Airbus electric plane due to battery density limits, while US-backed startups gain an edge by pivoting to hybrid systems. We'll explore how this engineering compromise could transform the path to decarbonising aviation and shift innovation from Europe to the US. Fourth, CrowdStrike projects hitting $10 billion in revenue by acquiring Pangea, launching a new AI detection and response category to secure enterprise AI. In this episode, we'll break down this AI native security strategy and what it signals for the competitive landscape against rivals like Palo Alto Networks. Fifth, a 98% cost reduction drives fashion brands to adopt AI models, sparking an existential threat protest from creatives calling for UK regulation. This discussion will reveal how this connects to the larger debate on AI and copyright and what it means for the future of creative industries. Apple just drew a line in the sand, signaling the beginning of the end for two of its biggest partners, Qualcomm and Broadcom. We're talking about a massive financial hit. For Qualcomm, Apple represents about 21% of their total revenue. For Broadcom, it's around 20%. Losing that business is a devastating blow and forces these specialized companies to completely rethink their future. In a bombshell move, Apple revealed it's now making its own custom wireless chips and modems for the new iPhone Air. This is a massive power play, years in the making, and the company is not being subtle about it. An Apple vice president went on the record stating, "When we have control, we are able to do things beyond what we can do by buying a merchant silicon part." And what he means by control is a total focus on the user experience. What's often overlooked is that Apple might be willing to trade a little bit of peak raw speed on a single component if it means they can get better battery life and a more seamless integration across the whole device. It's a shift from winning on paper specs to winning on the real world feel of the phone in your hand. This isn't just talk. Apple's new in-house modem, the C1X, is reportedly up to twice as fast and uses 30% less energy than the Qualcomm chip it's replacing. Now, some early analysis suggests that while this new modem is incredibly power efficient, it might not actually beat Qualcomm's absolute best in every single speed test. But this is the trade-off Apple is making. They're prioritizing all-day battery life and efficiency, believing that's more important for the average user. One top analyst now predicts Apple will completely phase out Qualcomm from its phones in the next couple of years. But this power play is about more than just control. It's about a full-scale assault on the future of artificial intelligence. The new A19 Pro chip has a radical new architecture, adding neural accelerators directly to the GPU cores. Now, get this. This is a huge departure from the norm. Traditionally, a chip has separate parts for graphics, the GPU, and for AI, a neural engine. What Apple is doing here is embedding AI smarts directly inside the graphics cores. The strategic goal here is to allow the chip to handle massive AI tasks, like the ones needed for generative AI, using the raw parallel processing power of the GPU. It's a different strategy from Google or Qualcomm, and it's built for heavy-duty on-device AI. An Apple executive claims this brings MacBook Pro class performance inside an iPhone. The upshot is the potential for a whole new class of AI native apps that are faster, more responsive, and more private because your data isn't being sent to a server. This all points to one thing. Apple is building a fortress. By designing its own core silicon, it's creating a closed ecosystem no competitor can replicate. However, if you zoom out, you'll see a crucial vulnerability in this fortress's strategy. While Apple is designing these chips, the most advanced ones are still manufactured by TSMC in Taiwan. This creates a multi-year dependency on a single region, a major geopolitical risk that Apple is managing by also moving some production to places like India and Vietnam. They're making a clear bet that the future isn't just about AI, but about who owns the hardware that runs it. As one executive boldly stated, Apple is focused on building the best on-device AI capability that anyone else has. We were just talking about Apple's massive investment in on-device AI. Now, let's shift our focus to how AI is revolutionizing another industry entirely, business travel. Let's start with a single statistic that might just change your entire perspective on this company. Its AI is now handling 50% of all user interactions, and it's doing it while processing over $7.6 billion in gross bookings. The company is Navan, a business travel and expense startup, and it just filed to go public on the NASDAQ. Beyond the $7.6 billion in bookings, Navan is reporting trailing 12-month revenue of $613 million, a 32% jump. But the real story is the war it has declared on the old way of doing business. The company's founders went on the record calling out the clunky, outdated systems that forced travelers to wait for hours on hold. They describe a world of fragmented workflows and tedious expense reports, a pain point they are attacking with what they call an all-in-one super app. Navan's travel-first approach is a strategic bet, and it's what sets them apart. They built a world-class travel booking system and then integrated expense management into it. This is the exact opposite of rivals like Ramp and Brex, who started with corporate cards and bolted travel on later. The big question is, what do companies want more? A seamless travel experience that also handles expenses, or a powerful expense tool that also does travel? Navan is betting its entire future on the first option. But that's not the whole picture. The real turning point is their proprietary AI framework called Navan Cognition. Their virtual assistant, Ava, is the one handling half of all user chats, a staggering level of automation that points to their real strategy. Interestingly enough, this isn't just another chatbot. Navan's big claim is that its AI architecture is designed for zero critical hallucinations. A hallucination, is when an AI just makes stuff up. By using a system of multiple specialized A is supervised by another AI manager, Navan is trying to ensure Ava doesn't book you a flight to the wrong city or approve an expense that violates company policy. This focus on reliability is what they believe makes their AI a true competitive advantage. This focus on efficiency is having a massive impact on the bottom line. While many tech startups burn cash, Navan just cut its net loss by 45% year over year. This level of automation fundamentally changes the economics of the business. By using technology to handle tasks that traditionally require human intervention, Navan can scale its operations and serve more customers without its costs spiraling out of control. This is their core argument for a long-term path to profitability, not just through growth, but through superior operational efficiency. This all sets the stage for a massive showdown. Navan is entering a crowded battlefield, going head-to-head not only with fellow disruptors like Ramp and Brex, but with established Goliaths like SAP, Concur, and American Express Global Business Travel. And this showdown is happening right now because the very nature of business travel has changed. The old routine trips are down, but they've been replaced by more strategic travel like team-wide offsites. We're also seeing the rise of bleisure, blending business and leisure travel. Navan's platform is built for this new, more flexible world, while the old guard systems were designed for a different era. Speaking of startups disrupting an entire industry, another cutting-edge field is facing a major reality check. The most unexpected news in aviation today has to be this. Just as the dream of silent electric airplanes seems within reach, one of the biggest names in the business, Airbus, is putting its City Airbus development on hold. The core problem? Batteries. And the numbers here are just staggering. Today's best lithium-ion batteries have an energy density of around 250 to 280 watt-hours per kilogram. Jet fuel, it's closer to 12,000. Think about that gap for a second. It's the fundamental reason this challenge is so immense. According to one expert, a full revolution in battery chemistry is needed because current tech has not improved significantly in 2 decades. So the thing is, researchers are racing to develop next-gen batteries, like solid state or lithium sulfur, that could hold much more power without catching fire, a critical safety concern for regulators. The proof is in the sky. To date, the only fully certified electric plane in Europe, the Pipistrel Velis Electro, can only fly for a mere 50 minutes. And the reason it's the only one is that regulators are facing a massive challenge. Their safety rules were written for gas-powered engines, but electric planes have totally different failure modes, like thermal runaway. They're having to write the rulebook from scratch, which takes a very, very long time. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. While the giants stumble, startups are making a radical pivot. What really brought this to a head was many of these startups flocking to the United States. Heart Aerospace, for instance, moved from Sweden to the US because of massive government funding and a huge venture capital scene. They feel they can move faster than in Europe's more regulated market. Heart Aerospace built a prototype carrying 2 tons of batteries. But for their real-world operations, they're ditching the all-electric design for a hybrid model. The payoff is staggering. The range more than doubles, from 200 kilometers to 400. It's a pragmatic engineering choice. The startups realize that waiting for a battery revolution that might be a decade away means their companies could go out of business today. And this isn't a one-off gamble. Beta Technologies, whose Alia plane just flew 100 miles in 55 minutes, is also going all in on hybrid. Their chief revenue officer said, "Are we excited about hybrid? 100%. It's a way to get longer ranges today." Beta is even planning a hybrid model that is also autonomous. So it's not a failure. It's a smart compromise. The breakthrough is a hybrid system that uses batteries for quiet takeoffs but carries fuel for safety and range. But here's one more thing to think about. That quiet takeoff is a huge selling point for communities near airports, but it also opens a can of worms. If these planes are quiet, could we see political pressure to build new micro airports in suburbs or open new flight paths over our neighbourhoods? It's a classic case of a solution creating a whole new set of questions. That kind of technological leap, even a compromised one, brings its own set of risks. And speaking of risk, our next story is about the company betting billions. It can secure the biggest technological shift of all. AI itself, a cybersecurity company, just dropped a number that is an absolute bombshell. CrowdStrike is projecting it will hit $10 billion in annual recurring revenue by 2031 and then double it to $20 billion by 2036. For context, most software as a service companies see their growth slow down as they get bigger. It's just harder to maintain that explosive pace. So for CrowdStrike to make this projection is a clear signal they believe they have a technological moat that can defy the usual market trends. The reaction on Wall Street was immediate. The stock soared nearly 13% in a single day. This explosion of confidence comes after the company made 2 major announcements. First, it's buying the AI security platform Pangea. So what does an AI security platform actually do? This isn't just about marketing hype. CrowdStrike is actually pioneering a new category called AI detection and response, or AIDR. The goal is to secure the entire life cycle of artificial intelligence within a company. This means protecting the data, the AI models, and the interactions. Pangea's technology inspects prompts and responses to prevent both sensitive data from leaking out and malicious instructions from getting in. Second, in a separate power move, it revealed a new partnership with enterprise giant Salesforce. The stakes of this partnership are huge. When you deeply integrate generative AI into a core business system like a CRM, you create entirely new security risks like data poisoning or prompt injection. This partnership is designed to stop that by combining CrowdStrike's security platform directly with Salesforce's, giving companies real-time visibility to shut down threats to their AI agents. The situation presents a fascinating duality in the race to build the ultimate security cloud. On one side, you have companies like Palo Alto Networks consolidating, buying different pieces like identity security from CyberArk to build an all-in-one platform. On the other, CrowdStrike is pursuing what's called an AI native strategy. It's not just bolting on AI, it's building it into the very core of its platform. So the whole industry is trying to answer one question: is it better to buy all the pieces or build a single intelligent system from the ground up? In the middle of this high-stakes battle, one analyst from Wells Fargo put it bluntly, calling CrowdStrike by far the most advanced security platform in the industry. He stated that the company's new AI solutions will further separate CrowdStrike from the competition. In the race to secure the world of artificial intelligence, CrowdStrike just made a bold declaration that it plans not just to compete, but to dominate. While companies like CrowdStrike are racing to secure enterprise AI, the technology is already creating shockwaves in other parts of the economy, raising fundamental questions about jobs and even what's real. The story begins with a reality that sounds like science fiction. The fashion industry is facing what one supermodel calls an existential threat as major brands create campaigns where the model doesn't even exist. The man leading the charge is one of the most famous faces in the business, David Gandy. After nearly 25 years at the top, he's sounding the alarm on generative AI. He's not alone. Gandy, along with over 2,000 other professional models, including icons like Twiggy and Yasmin Lebon, are calling on the UK government to regulate this technology before it's too late. Why the sudden urgency? Gandy points directly to campaigns from brands like Guess, where AI is generating human-like images from scratch. He says AI is scraping bits of imagery from different real-life models and creating a new image, calling it one of the industry's biggest problems. So what does scraping actually mean, and why is it such a legal minefield? Believe it or not, the UK doesn't have a specific right of publicity law like the US does. Instead, it's a patchwork of privacy and copyright laws. This is why we're seeing major lawsuits, like Getty Images suing Stability AI for allegedly copying over 12 million images to train its AI. The AI company argues it's fair dealing, but the courts haven't decided. The outcome of that case could define the future for the entire industry. And the impact goes far beyond the runway. Gandy warns that the entire creative ecosystem is at risk of becoming, in his words, redundant. Photographers, hairdressers, makeup artists, and even location scouts all could be replaced by a computer program. And the numbers here are staggering, which reveals the business logic behind this shift. A typical mid-tier fashion shoot can cost around $12,000. By comparison, some AI platforms charge as little as $49 a month. We're talking about a potential cost saving of up to 98%. When the financial incentive is that massive, the threat to these creative jobs becomes very, very real. This all begs the question, what's the real end game here? As a father, Gandy also questions the mental health impact of young people looking at AI, generated images of people who are not real, and he's right to be concerned. It's crucial to distinguish this from something like Photoshop. Photoshop edits a real person. Generative AI, on the other hand, creates a perfect, idealized person who never existed. Researchers are already worried this could intensify issues like body dysmorphic disorder. There's even a term, Snapchat dysmorphia, where people seek cosmetic surgery to look like they're filtered selfies. These AI models are like a filter you can't turn off, setting a beauty standard that is literally inhuman. This sets up a massive collision course. On one side, the relentless advance of AI. On the other, the human element, the artistry and jobs of thousands of creatives. While the UK government says it's seeking views, it's operating very differently from its neighbours. The EU, for example, has already passed its AI Act, which puts strict rules on AI companies. The UK is taking a more wait-and-see approach, which is exactly what has these models so concerned. The core conflict is no longer about style. It's a fight over whether human creativity itself can be made obsolete by an algorithm.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.